Hey folks, welcome back. Another movie review. I am sorry it has been a while. And yes, I'm wearing one of my cheap thrifted Hawaiian shirts. And I brought the mustache back for those of you who enjoy it. Maybe you hate it. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Today we are reviewing a movie that I first saw probably over 10 years ago, maybe almost 15 years ago. I first remember seeing it on Turner Classic Movies, and I went digging through my archives. A good friend of mine was out at the thrift shop. Huge shout out to my friend Jonathan in Santa Ana, California. And he had picked up a video disc, obsolete format, but it's like the size of an LP record, and he bought it as a wall hanger, a copy of the movie The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. This movie, I hadn't seen it in years, but after he picked that up, it sparked my interest to want to watch it. And I dug through my collection and I found it. Unfortunately, my copy was thrifted and I had bought this DVD copy and I had never watched it. And it was scratched, so I wasn't able to watch all of the movie. I had to skip over one or two scenes, but I'd seen it before, but it was a good refresher if I wanted to talk about it. This is an important movie. You got to watch it if you're into classic cinema or even if you're into modern cinema. We recommend The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. So I got some notes. I'm trying to be more organized here, like I have in the past couple of reviews. Typed up a few important things on this particular film. So The Treasure of the Sierra Madre was based off of a 1927 novel called Der Schatz der Sierra Madre. Don't know if that's the correct German pronunciation, but there you go. The English version was published in 1935, and as early as that, the director, John Huston, had wanted to do a screenplay on it. Prior to World War II, they were wanting to make this a movie, but, then the war happened, and it didn't happen until 1948 when the movie came out. Warner Brothers release. And it was one of the first movies from Hollywood to be filmed out of country. This movie was filmed on location in Durango, Mexico, and in the city of Tampico. A little side note, they had to do bribery and all kinds of stuff to keep the production going down south of the border. And when the movie ran way over budget, they ended up having to do a lot of the scenes back up at the Hollywood studio lots in California. So the movie stars Humphrey Bogart, and the director had come to fame. The director, John Huston, had come to fame earlier on for The Maltese Falcon. But Humphrey Bogart plays this Fred Dobbs character, down on his out luck guy. And the movie takes place in the 1920s, which is when the novel was made or published, and he's just kind of a bum in Mexico trying to find odd jobs. And then he runs into this other guy played by Timothy Holt named Bob Curtin, another kind of is that right? I don't know. Out of luck American, south of the border. They're looking for work. They get taken advantage of by some shady work crews working in the oil industry, and they're just desperate. And then they run into this other character, Walter Huston, who is the father of the director, John Huston. And this was one of Walter Huston's later movies. He died in 1950, 2 years after this movie came out. But the son cast his father as this prospector, old-time guy, and he would go on to win Best Supporting Actor 1949 Academy Awards. For some reason, Humphrey Bogart should have gotten a Best Actor nod because his performance was amazing in this movie. It's like, I just loved a little blurb that I read where the Daniel Day-Lewis character, Daniel Plainfield, in the movie There Will Be Blood, he said he kind of based it off of the shadiness of the Humphrey Bogart character. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but he just plays a very paranoid, almost delusional at times, self-centered guy, and they're going out trying to find their riches in the Mexican wilderness, Sierra Madres. They're trying to go prospecting for gold, thus the Treasure of the Sierra Madre. So it's one of those movies where the character development and the intensity of the characters, it's just riveting. This movie has 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes and 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, it is a must-watch. And I'm going to go as far, I'm going to say it right now early on, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It truly is one of those epic movies that everybody should check out if you're a film major or just enjoy the cinema. I have this metric that I just thought of recently. When you're watching a movie, how often are you looking at your device? You're not looking at your device throughout this movie. You're really focused on the story and what's happening. You just get into the characters, and the Howard character played by Walter Huston, he's just like, it's so good. Like, and all the characters are just so good, and it's just nitty and gritty and real, and it's filmed in beautiful black and white. It's just an intense movie. And the director, John Huston, some other notable works of films that I own of his that I also recommend. And I just recently watched this within the last year from my archives. 1956 release, Moby Dick, starring Gregory Peck. Also a great movie. It's up there. And then this other 1975 movie that John Huston is known for directing, The Man Who Would Be King, starring Sean Connery. Really recommend that movie too. Oh yeah, one other quick note. John Huston won Best Director for this movie as well. I need to find a better copy so I can watch the scenes that I had to skip over. Wouldn't play on my DVD player. Had to watch it on my laptop, and even then, I had to skip over a couple of scenes. But it just the wilderness scenes in Mexico, and just even the local, they used a lot of Mexican nationals, and they paid them $2 a day, which was like an insane amount of money at the time. So it just feels very real and authentic. I did not watch the documentary, the disc 2. I might have to check that out. Ooh, Leonard Maltin and Robert Osborne talking about the movie. Definitely want to check out the special features later. So there's just this one scene in the movie where they get screwed over by this oil man who says he's going to pay them a certain amount a day, and they work for like months straight, and then at the end of it, the guy's like, oh, I didn't get paid either, I'll catch up with you guys later. And then like weeks go by and they're still destitute, and they'd work themselves like 15 hours a day out on this oil rig in the middle of nowhere. And Bogart's character, the Dobbs character, and the Curtin character, they run into this guy in town, and they're like, that famous scene where Stewie tries to get money from Brian, where's my money? And he's like, oh, don't worry, I'll just buy you guys a couple of drinks. And I was just like, whoa, 1948, getting intense. Didn't know they got that violent in movies from that time period. But definitely check it out. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you've already seen it and you're a friend of mine, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it too. I really get into the classics. There's just such a big stack of movies that I want to really go through and talk about. And, you know, most of the stuff that I kind of just jot down, I get off Wikipedia or IMDb. It's just, but, you know, I'm doing kind of a brief overview for those of you who haven't seen it, and maybe you're thinking about seeing it, or you're looking for something new to watch. Maybe you never considered older black and white films. But, you know, yes, there are some older films where it's like, they just feel really dated. To me, like a lot of the movies from the 1930s, the talkies of the early talkies, I just can't get into. But then like there's certain like movies that are from like the silent era, like, you know, the Charlie Chaplin films. It's like, wow, these films are so great. So, you know, there's just such a diverse landscape of cinema out there. Not everything's good, not everything's bad. Maybe there's some movies that people say are bad, but you enjoy it. But this movie, it's just critically acclaimed. It's like preserved in some nuclear bomb-proof vault by the Library of Congress. It's one of their selected movies, and rightfully so. It deserves to be in there. It is presented in the non-16:9. It's presented in 4:3. So even if you have a VHS copy, it's the true aspect ratio. So there you go. Until next time, we'll see you then.